Today we are diving back into the world of red dots by taking a look at the Cyelee T10 red dot sight. This dot comes in at the sub $100 mark, which may eliminate it from some people's options just based on the price. I'll cover that idea and offer a few use cases where a cheap red dot may fit your needs quite well actually. Now when I say cheap, that can mean two different things: cheap price tag and cheap build quality. As far as this optic goes, the build quality is pretty solid actually. Now it's not on the same level as the Aimpoint T2, but nobody expecting it to be. This optic comes in the basic footprint of the Aimpoint T2, but lacks the robustness you may expect from an optic 10 times the cost. That being said, this optic does not feel flimsy and the glass clarity is very good. The red dot itself is bright, like very bright, like looking into the sun bright, which I like in a red dot. Most of my shooting is outdoors in the mid-afternoon lighting, so that extra illumination on the dot is needed at times. Let's talk philosophy. Most people would rather save and buy a dot with a better reputation and a nicer overall field and build quality. I agree with this and have done so myself with most of my optics. But what kind of dot are you going to put on your 10-22 or plinking guns? Most of us have an AR and chambered in 22 long rifle due to the cheap ammo costs and overall funness to shoot. Are you going to spend $500 on a dot for that gun? I personally wouldn't, and I believe this is where the Cyelee T10 can shine. With the sub $100 price tag, this dot is ideal to throw on a 22 long rifle AR or Ruger 1022 or even a 22 long rifle chambered pistol. The type of guns that this dot will be on are not usually considered your main setup for personal protection or duty use, and in my opinion don't need that $500 red dot. Even though these guns are not intended for duty use, you still want a solid, dependable dot to use when shooting. The T10 has done that for me. So let's get into my experience with this optic. As I mentioned earlier, it feels really solid and has performed fine so far. I've shot tons of 22 through it and have had no issues. Granted, 22 is not the best round for determining the toughness of an optic, but 22 is still what I shoot the most of with this optic equipped. The zeroing process was a little unsettling due to the fact that I had to turn the dials several full rotations to move the bullet impact just an inch or so. Once properly zeroed, I have not had to alter my zero, but it just wasn't normal having to spin the turret several times just to move the bullet a few inches. I'm not sure if the zeroing issue was an anomaly or if it's just something that's present in other optics, but like I said, once zeroed, I've had no issues. The mount that the red dot is sitting on is okay. I would not want it on my primary 5.56 rifle and have to rely on it to take repeated falls and tumbles. But on this 22 build, it has not given me any issues. But granted, my 22 build is subject to far less real-world abuse as compared to my primary 5.56 setup. After shooting several thousand rounds of 22 with this optic, I installed the Cyelee T10 on a new AR build that I just completed. This build is an amalgamation of parts that I had not being used and decided that the T10 would be a good optic to add to this monstrosity. More so, I was just curious to see how the dot would hold up on an AR, more specifically a 7.5 inch barreled AR. After a decent amount of rounds through this 7.5 inch AR, the Cyelee T10 has held up just fine. I have not noticed any more zeroing issues. The point of aim, point of impact has not shifted any. I did have to turn the dials several rotations to get it zeroed with the 5.56 round. But like I said earlier, once zeroed, it has had no shifting or any issues in that regard. So 5.56 seems to hold up just fine. Now 5,000 rounds down the road may prove a different point, but for now it's still going strong. Overall, this optic is fine for what it is. Do not buy this dot expecting to replace an Aimpoint T2 or find a cheap substitute for a EOTech, or else you'll be disappointed. If you do buy this dot with a specific use case in mind, like I did, you will see that it fits certain needs quite well. The Cyelee brand as a whole seems to produce a nice optic, whether it be for the pistol or for a rifle. Only time will tell what this optic is really capable of, but as for now, it has served me well. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you have any comments, questions, leave them down below in the comments section. If you wouldn't mind, drop us a like and hit that subscribe button. We'll see you guys in the next video.